All About Writing with Ben and Sara.
Welcome to All About Writing, the podcast that covers everything about the world of writing from the inside out. This is episode 66, part 10 on our series on marketing. I'm Ben, here with my co-host Sara, who is an award-winning, best-selling author, screenwriter, editor, and TED Talk presenter.
And I'm Sara, here with my co-host Ben, who is an award-winning, best-selling author and ghostwriter, editor, and publisher. And today on marketing, we are going to talk a little bit about in-person book tours. And this is something that I was actually really looking forward to doing right before COVID hit, and then everything was canceled. So I've done very short in-person events, some around my state and area, but nothing like a giant book tour like I would have had COVID not happened. But and Ben, I mean, we both have talked about, like, we should talk about the pros and cons of these, but why don't we talk a little bit about what exactly they are? So you with your publishing background, what would you call an in-person book tour?
Yeah, so when I ran a publishing company, sometimes I'd have an author who was really well suited to this, i.e. they're very charismatic, they're very engaging. Putting them in front of people is a good thing. And so what I would do is, as the publisher, I would reach out to usually Barnes and Noble and just say, okay, this area, you've got a bunch of bookstores. How about we send this author around? So from a publisher's point of view, it's fairly straightforward in that it's just a matter of contacting the bookstore and arranging it. It's also, you can do it with individual, like, indie bookstores too, although you just have to call each store and arrange it. So it certainly was easier to arrange with a chain. But the considerations I would have is mostly about the author. Like, are they available, and are they going to be good? Because the whole thing about a book tour in person is for the author to get to see the readers face to face. And do they like talking to people? Are they going to help sell their book? And it's a very real question to ask, because not every author is the most, gregarious person or likes people. So you need to know whether they're up for it. But I find it can definitely, it can move some books, but not to the point where, the book becomes a bestseller because of this book tour. But more importantly, it creates that connection with the fans. And so they remember and they tell their friends.
Yeah, and it obviously usually a book tour also includes book signings at every location. So people are getting autographed copies, which adds value, as well as that in-person time to talk to the author. I also feel like, it should be stated, obviously, that really any author, an indie author, can create their own book tour and create a path, like, oh, I'm going to do a circle. I'm going to spend a week on the road, take vacation from my day job, whatever. And I'm going to hit as many bookstores as I can. And you can actually plot out, several months in advance, but where you're like, I'm going to take this route, these roads, and on this way, I'm going to hit this bookstore, at this time of day, this bookstore in the evening event, and then the next day travel to the next and do another evening event. And you can hit sometimes half a dozen bookstores in a week, and have those events set up, and those bookstores help you promo the event. It gets people in their door buying books, and then you also coordinate with them, promoting that you're going to be at those bookstores on your social media and newsletters and things. So it totally can be kind of cobbled together, but really just in-person book tours are just relationship building, not only, I would say, with your fans, but with especially indie bookstore owners and operators.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. If you're an author who's going to be doing this on your own, those relationships with the indie bookstores can be very valuable. I know when I was doing this earlier in my career as an author, I got to know the bookstore buyers and the managers of all the stores in my area really well, because I was able to always sell a few books. And by a few books, I want to talk numbers here for a second.
Yes.
If you can go to a book signing as an author and sell half a dozen books, everybody considers that a success. The bookstore is happy, you are happy, six new readers are happy, but that's actually pretty good. I just want to temper expectations that everything with book selling. Don't don't bother bringing like 200 copies of your book to the bookstore thinking you're gonna just they'll be flying off the shelves and people are lining up. If you're typical honest hardworking aspiring author, you might be able to get a few of your friends to come out, and that's great. That might be half a dozen, but as far as the general public goes, you will be surprised at how many just don't want to even make eye contact with you. It can be, we're inundated with sales these days. It can be hard to engage. So uh, I would probably bring about 20 books, and that will be an amazing day if you can sell 20 books at an event. Then yeah, I would consider that a triumph.
And I think like that's a great thing to know, because sometimes people worry, especially if they are doing this on their own, what kind of inventory they need to invest in
Yeah.
themselves. And so if you're saying plan on 20 books per per bookstore, let's say you have the one book, okay, and you're going to hit 5 bookstores, so you need 100 books. So
Yeah.
it's not, the expense is mostly in the travel, and I think that's the biggest difference is when you're doing this for a publisher, the publisher, like, when you would call Barnes and Noble, some of the travel expenses are covered by your publisher. I certainly know from in my experience, even though it never manifested and we had to cancel it with COVID, the travel was covered, the hotel was covered. There's a little bit of cost, maybe a taxi ride here or there, or a breakfast, coffee, and things like that. But primarily, some of those expenses are covered by your publisher, depending on how big the publisher is and how much they're
Hmm.
spending on your book marketing. On a smaller indie, if you're an independent author and you're working with independent stores, or you have a smaller press, you're not going to get a lot of that expense covered at all. So again, you're not doing this book tour. An in-person book tour is a marketing expense that you probably aren't going to get your money back. Like, you're not going to earn out your costs.
Yeah.
But again, you're establishing your network of independent bookstore owners, you're establishing a fan base, you're going to get more loyal fans who you do talk to. So I think, in my mind, this is just one of those like cost of doing business things that if you can do it, go do it. It's a great experience if you're, like you said, not afraid to talk to strangers nonstop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really,
I agree 100%. An in-person book tour is not going to be the sales driver for your books. It's a marketing tool. Exactly. It increases your exposure, increases your awareness. If you can sell the one book, ideally you've got more books that are coming that people will then go and buy on their own because they enjoyed your first book and they met you and liked you. And it is definitely part of the long game. So to aspiring authors out there debating, should I do a book tour, should I not? So definitely think about where you live and are there a lot of bookstores around? You'd be surprised actually as an indie author how willing the big chains are to support you. Because definitely Barnes and Noble will engage with you as you just go in and talk to the local manager, and sure, they're happy to support you. Um, in Canada as well, Indigo are generally very supportive of letting local authors come and do a book signing. Indie stores, yeah, I mean um, it's the individual manager or owner, but in general they are pretty receptive to it as long as you do all the work. They'll give you the venue and they'll take 40% of the sale. But so think about how many stores can you as an author get to reasonably. Like, don't start including air travel in this plan, okay? Because then things are getting expensive. Somewhere you can drive to or get to easily, either in the city that you live or just in the neighboring towns where it's not hard for you to get to. So definitely think about that. How many can you get to? Yes, if you can, try to group them together. It's better for your schedule. Maybe do, even if you do like one on Saturday, one on Sunday for a month, so every weekend for this month, I'm going to be doing this. I think that works well. And um, just remember that you're not going to make a lot of money out of this, like directly to you. It's going to be about building your brand. That's the key.
Yep.
So ultimately, the last question that I would ask any author to think about is, do you want to do this? If the idea of setting up a table at the front of a bookstore and trying to get people's attention to them and convince them to buy your book, if that is something that you think would be super fun, absolutely do these in-person bookstores. You will enjoy them. You'll get a rush out of them. You will meet new people. You will sell books, and you'll feel really good about it. But if what I just described is like your own personal hell, then don't do it. Don't do it. It'll be miserable. You will not present well because you're not comfortable there, and other people won't feel comfortable as well. You might get a few people who talk to you, but if you don't like doing this, then don't do it. An in-person bookstore is not the thing that is gonna be the tipping point for book sales for you. It's part of your overall process, and if it's something you don't want to do, then I don't think it'll be worth your time.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to end this. It is a non-required marketing tool you can utilize at your discretion, and that's it. It's not required.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Totally think about who you are and
Yep.
whether you think this is fun. And if so, go for it. And they can be a lot of fun. And I certainly have lots of pleasant memories from doing in-person signings myself.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun. They are. Anyway,
right, well,
here we go. There's
I
our
think that's the show for today. So thanks for joining us today, and please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our chats, and do please feel free to leave a review. It really does help us a lot. You can catch up with Sarah at sarahdahlman.com and on Instagram.
And you can find Ben at bennettallcoles.com, as well as Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again for joining us. Please reach out if there's anything you'd like us to cover. Otherwise, we will see you again when we next chat all about writing.
This has been All About Writing with Ben and Sara.